नमस्कार।
सबको नमस्कार।
I am Dr. Manisha Pandey, Assistant Professor in Biochemistry, School of Sciences, IGNOU.
Myself, Dr. Abdul Karim from Faculty of Sciences, Department of Biochemistry, IGNOU. So, dear friends, today we are here to discuss about immunity and infections, a biochemical perspective. Here, this session will be addressing the needs of our FST learners and as well as the learners who will be pursuing biosciences, life sciences courses from IGNOU will be benefited by this course. And apart from that, this will be a general awareness course for the students who are pursuing science programs. And apart from that, since we are touching upon about immunity and infections with a biochemical point of view, this will answer some of the burning issues which are happening around the globe. And before going to start our today's session, next slide please. I would like to express my sincere gratitude to all the emergency services providers as well as their support teams for helping all of us during this crisis time. With this brief introduction, I request my colleague Dr. Manisha to start the discussion.
Thank you, Dr. Karim, for such a nice introduction to our today's session. Actually, friends, आजकल हमारी दिनचर्या जब शुरू हो रही है तो सुबह से लेकर शाम तक में हम इम्यूनिटी और इन्फेक्शन जैसे शब्द को कई बार सुनते हैं और इससे जूझ रहे हैं हमारे सेवाकर्मी, हमारे इमरजेंसी स्टाफ, हमारे हेल्थ केयर वर्कर्स. So I am thankful to Dr. Karim who has started this session on a thanking note. Now friends, we are hearing this immunity and infection almost every day in our lives. Let us know what actually immunity is, what infection is. Immunity को हम हिंदी में रोग क्षमता या प्रतिरक्षा कहते हैं. इन्फेक्शन इज संक्रमण. तो हमें इस इम्यूनिटी और इन्फेक्शन के बारे में पता कब चला, कैसे चला, इसको जानने के लिए हमें इतिहास के पन्नों में पीछे जाना पड़ेगा. अगर हम बहुत पीछे जाए, कम से कम आज से लेके 2500 साल पीछे, तो हमें इसका सबसे पहला लिखित वर्णन मिलता है. एथेंस में थुसाइडिस नामक एक हिस्टोरियन वहाँ पे हुए प्लेग का जब वर्णन कर रहे थे 450 BC यानी 450 ईसा पूर्व, तब वो लिखते हैं कि उन्होंने ये देखा कि वो लोग जिनको कि प्लेग हो चुका था और वो उस बीमारी से उबर गए थे, ठीक हो गए थे, वो नए बीमार लोगों की तीमारदारी या सेवा कर पा रहे थे क्योंकि उनको इन्फेक्शन दोबारा से नहीं होता था. तो उसको उन्होंने उस समय नोट किया. ये हमारा पहला लिखित वर्णन है जो हमें मिलता है इम्यूनिटी के पर्सपेक्टिव में, जिसको हम आज कनेक्ट कर पाते हैं. लेकिन ये जानकारी के होने के बावजूद करीब हमें 2000 साल लगे इस कॉन्सेप्ट को पूरी तरीके से समझने में. 15th सेंचुरी में जाके चाइनीज और टर्क्स ने क्या किया कि उन्होंने स्मॉल पॉक्स, जिसको कि हम चेचक या शीतला माता के नाम से अपने देश में जानते हैं, ये एक बहुत ही घातक बीमारी है. इससे हमारे चेहरे पे, हमारे शरीर पे बहुत सारे धब्बे भी आ जाते हैं और मृत्यु भी होती है. सो इट्स डिसफिगरिंग एज वेल एज फैटल. तो व्हाट चाइनीज एंड टर्क्स डिड, Chinese and Turks attempted to induce immunity against smallpox. क्या किया उन्होंने, जो इस चेचक के हमारे छोटे छोटे जो चकत्ते हमारे शरीर पे आते थे, उस चकत्ते से उन्होंने क्या किया, उसके सूखी हुई पपड़ी को निकाला, उसका पाउडर बनाया और उसको इनहेल करने की कोशिश की. तो नाक की नथनों से उसको इनहेल करने की कोशिश की कि उससे शायद हमारे शरीर के अंदर कुछ जाए. या हमारे स्किन पे कट्स बनाए, छोटे छोटे कट्स बना के उसमें उस क्रस्ट को, उस पाउडर को इंजेक्ट किया, जिसको कि हम साइंटिफिक टर्म्स में वेरियोलेशन कहते हैं. तो इस तरीके से उन्होंने कोशिश करी इम्यूनिटी अगेंस्ट स्मॉल पॉक्स जनरेट करने की, बट ज़्यादा कुछ हासिल नहीं हो सका. फिर धीरे धीरे समय गुजरता गया और हम 18वीं शताब्दी के करीब पहुँचे. उसके बाद फिर इस फील्ड में ब्रेक थ्रू आने शुरू हुए. 1798, you can say we were about to touch the 18th century, came Edward Jenner, and today we all know the name of Edward Jenner in the field of immunology. What he did, he intentionally infected a child with a cowpox fluid. उन्होंने एक्चुअली जब ऑब्जर्व किया कि जो मिल्क मेड्स होते हैं, दूध वाले होते हैं, ग्वाले, उनको काउपॉक्स हो जाता है, गायों से लगते या जैसे भी करके, और काउपॉक्स जो है वो कम घातक है स्मॉल पॉक्स के तुलना में। तो उन्होंने काउपॉक्स के जो पुस्ट्यूल्स से उससे फ्लूइड निकाला, उस फ्लूइड को उन्होंने एक 8 साल के बच्चे में इंजेक्ट किया, उसको काउपॉक्स हुआ, उसके बाद वो रिकवर किया, उसके बाद उन्होंने उस बच्चे को फिर से स्मॉल पॉक्स के फ्लूइड से इंजेक्ट किया, एंड टू हिज एक्सपेक्टेशन, जो उन्होंने सोच रखा था ये करने से पहले, उस बच्चे को स्मॉल पॉक्स नहीं हुआ। तो दिस वाज समथिंग वी कैन से दैट वी अचीव्ड टुवर्ड्स द एंड ऑफ 17th century और बिगिनिंग ऑफ 18th century इन द फील्ड ऑफ इम्यूनिटी, एंड देन केम लुइस पास्चर, जिनको कि हम ये कह सकते हैं कि ही इज द फादर ऑफ इम्यूनोलॉजी। His experiments actually gave a breakthrough in this discipline, और उसके बाद immunology became a discipline of science, and people started working in this field. If I count only 2 achievements of Pasteur, one came in 1881 when he vaccinated a sheep with anthrax bacillus. तो उन्होंने एंथ्रेक्स बेसिलाई को हीट एटेन्यूएट करके और वैक्सीन उसकी बनाई और उसको शीप में इंजेक्ट किया, भेड़ में इंजेक्ट किया, ये देखने के लिए कि क्या उसको बीमारी हो पा रही है या नहीं। उसके बाद 1885 उन्होंने रैबीज के अगेंस्ट जो है वैक्सीन डेवलप की, एंड दैट वी कैन से इट वाज द फर्स्ट वैक्सीन विच वाज गिवन टू अ ह्यूमन। उन्होंने एक बच्चे को रैबीज का इंजेक्शन दिया क्योंकि उसको बार बार कुत्ते ने काटा हुआ था, तो अटेन्यूएटेड रैबीज वायरस का जो प्रिपरेशन था वो उसको दिया गया, एंड दैट बॉय सर्वाइव्ड, एंड वी नो दैट बॉय एज जोसेफ मिस्चर, जो कि बाद में पास्चर इंस्टीट्यूट का कस्टोडियन बना। पास्चर के बारे में अगर हम ये कहें तो आजकल हम लोग रोज जो पैकेट्स के दूध लेते हैं, पैकेट्स के दूध को कहते हैं इट इज पास्चराइज्ड और पास्चुरीकृत, उसको आपको बिना उबाले भी आप पी सकते हैं क्योंकि इट इज फ्री ऑफ यू कैन से माइक्रोब्स, इट हैज बीन ट्रीटेड एंड इट इज सेफ फॉर कंजम्पशन। तो इसके बाद हुआ क्या, हम 19th सेंचुरी में पहुंच गए, 18th सेंचुरी 1885 तक हमने रेबीज का भी वैक्सीन डेवलप कर लिया। अब ये फील्ड रिकॉग्नाइज हो गई थी, बहुत सारे लोगों ने इस फील्ड में काम करना शुरू किया, different laboratories were working कि actually what is the active principle or active molecule which is providing us with immunity। तो हुआ ये कि 2 different concepts emerge होके हमारे सामने है। एक ग्रुप ऑफ साइंटिस्ट था जो ये मानता था कि हमारा जो ब्लड में फ्लूइड है या ब्लड फ्लूइड का जो सीरम कंपोनेंट है एक्चुअली वो रिस्पॉन्सिबल है इम्यूनिटी के लिए, क्योंकि हम अगर पीछे जाके देखें तो स्मॉल पॉक्स, काउ पॉक्स सब में हमने फ्लूइड को यूज़ किया था इन्फेक्टेड ह्यूमन बीइंग या एनिमल से कह सकते हैं दूसरे को करने के लिए। दूसरा ग्रुप ऑफ साइंटिस्ट जो था वो ये मानता था कि नहीं, इट इज़ नॉट द फ्लूइड कंपोनेंट, एक्चुअली इट इज़ द सेलुलर कंपोनेंट प्रेजेंट इन द फ्लूइड which is responsible for providing us immunity. So, 2 concepts emerge. Today we know it as cellular and humoral immunity. इसके बारे में अगर हम थोड़ा विस्तार से चर्चा करें तो सेल मेडिएटेड इम्यूनिटी या सेलुलर इम्यूनिटी हम जिसको कह रहे हैं उसमें हम कहते हैं कि सेल्स आर रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर प्रोवाइडिंग द इम्यूनिटी। विच सेल्स? WBC, वाइट ब्लड सेल्स। एक्चुअली इनको हम फैगोसाइटिक सेल्स भी कहते हैं। फैगोसाइटिक बिकॉज दे आर कैपेबल ऑफ ईटिंग द पैथोजेंस, माइक्रोब्स, फॉरेन पार्टिकल्स, इवन आवर ओन सेल्यूलर डेब्रीज दे कैन ईट। हमारा जो सेल का अंदर टिश्यू जो हमारा डेड हो जाता है या somehow it goes wrong, तो these phagocytes are capable of digesting that.
So you means here we are trying to understand the matlab way of engulfing the what is called a foreign particle.
Yeah,
through phagocytosis.
Yeah, we are trying to actually they were trying to explore actually what it is which is destroying the pathogen or the infectious molecule. So they thought there is like some pathogen, it is a microbe or something which is coming in our body, and then these WBCs are trying to kill it. वो उसको
प्रोटेक्शन दे रहे हैं,
ऐसे करके एनगल्फ कर लेते हैं, अपने आगोश में ले लेते हैं और फिर उसको वो डाइजेस्ट करके डिस्ट्रॉय कर देते हैं.
अमीबा टेक्स इट्स प्रे.
एग्जैक्टली, अपने हाथ पर फैलाना और उसको खा जाना. अब हम WBC में भी फर्दर एक्चुअली बाय 19th सेंचुरी यू कैन से कि ब्लड के रिसर्च के लिए जो टेक्निक्स थी वो काफ़ी विकसित हो चुकी थी. तो दिस कॉन्सेप्ट कुड मूव फास्टर and they provided that actually it is the monocyte and neutrophils which are responsible for providing cell mediated immunity. Then what happened, slowly we started moving ahead, और जो लोग फ्लूइड के कॉन्सेप्ट में बिलीव कर रहे थे कि इट इज द फ्लूइड कंपोनेंट, इट इज आवर बॉडी फ्लूइड और लिम्फ विच इज एक्चुअली कैरिंग द एक्टिव प्रिंसिपल और एक्टिव मॉलिक्यूल ऑफ इम्यूनिटी, उन्होंने कुछ समय बाद ये पाया कि इट इज द सीरम. सीरम क्या है? सीरम इज द नॉन सेलुलर और ए सेलुलर कॉम्पोनेंट ऑफ अ क्लॉटेड ब्लड. जब ब्लड क्लॉट हो जाता है, आप सबने ध्यान दिया हो अगर कभी, हमें जब चोट लगती है तो ब्लड क्लॉट होता है. ब्लड क्लॉट होने के बाद भी हमारे शरीर पे जहाँ चोट लगी होती है कुछ हल्का पीले रंग का फ्लूइड बाहर आ जाता है, तो उसको जो है हम सीरम कहते हैं. उस सीरम में उनका ये मानना था कि जो एक्टिव मॉलिक्यूल है वो प्रेजेंट है, जिसको कि उस समय इम्यूनोग्लोबुलिन, एक्चुअली उस समय उसको उन्होंने गामा ग्लोबुलिन कहा, उसको आज हम सब इम्यूनोग्लोबुलिन के नाम से जानते हैं. आगे चल के जैसे जैसे हमारा शोध बढ़ता गया, ये पता चला कि इम्यूनोग्लोबुलिन में भी एक्चुअली एंटीबॉडी है जो एक्टिव मॉलिक्यूल है उस इम्यूनोग्लोबुलिन फ्रैक्शन का. और ये विधा जो है बाद में ह्यूमोरल इम्यूनिटी के नाम से जानी जाने लगी. ह्यूमोरल हम इसे क्यों कहते हैं? सेलुलर तो हमने कहा सेल मीडिएटेड है, सेल्स इन्वॉल्व है, इसलिए हमने सेल मीडिएटेड किया. ह्यूमोरल क्योंकि उस समय जो बॉडी फ्लूइड्स थे, लिम्फ थे, उसको ह्यूमर कहते थे, इसलिए हमने इसको ह्यूमोरल इम्यूनिटी का नाम दे दिया. और खूबसूरती क्या है, जैसे जैसे टिश्यू कल्चर की टेक्निक्स विकसित होती गई, हमें जाके ये पता चला कि ये जो टी सेल्स या बी सेल्स जो हमारे सेलुलर और ह्यूमोरल इम्यूनिटी के कंपोनेंट्स हैं, एक्चुअली ये अलग से कहीं से नहीं आ रहे हैं. ये दोनों जो है वो लिम्फोसाइट्स से ही बनते हैं. तो जो हमने शुरुआत करी थी कि एक टाइम पे हम ये मान रहे थे कि ओके हम इधर जा रहे हैं कि सेल, इट इज फ्लूइड, एक्चुअली वी मर्ज टुगेदर इन द एंड, इट इज नाइदर सेल नॉर फ्लूइड, दे ऑल आर डिराइव्ड फ्रॉम सिंगल सेल व्हिच वी कॉल एज लिम्फोसाइट्स. और ये लिम्फोसाइट्स ही हैं जो बाद में जाके डिफ्रेंशिएट होते हैं टी और बी सेल्स में. टी सेल्स हमें फिर सेलुलर इम्यूनिटी प्रोवाइड कर रहा है वाया लिम्फोसाइट्स एंड अदर ऑर्गेनेल्स, और बी सेल्स जो है वो एंटीबॉडीज बनाता है. और इसको अगर हम ऐसे कहें तो ये हमारे शरीर के, या शरीर को अगर हम वैसे देख रहे हैं तो हमारे इम्यूनिटी के दो आर्म्स हैं जो एक साथ मिल के हमें प्रतिरक्षा देते हैं. तो अब डॉक्टर करीम, आप इसमें आगे बताना चाहेंगे इनको डिटेल्स में सेल्स और ऑर्गेनेल्स के बारे में?
सो थैंक यू डॉक्टर मनीषा. अब तक आपने हिस्ट्री ऑफ इम्यूनोलॉजी कैसे इमर्ज हुआ 15th सेंचुरी से लेके आज तक जो भी डेवलपमेंट्स हुए इस फील्ड में, ये सब हमने डिस्कस किया अभी. तो इस जैसे हम डिस्कस कर रहे थे कि यहाँ पे फ्लूइड भी रोल प्ले कर रहा है एंड एज वेल एज सेल्स भी रोल प्ले कर रहे हैं. सो विद दिस बैकड्रॉप वी आर गोइंग टू डिस्कस अबाउट द cells and organs of the immune system. So as we have so many systems in our body like respiratory system, digestive system, reproductive system, other system, and similarly here we have another system which is also made up of certain specific cells, that is here our immune system. Okay, and here in this picture you can see the immune system is composed of both, you can say there are two subsets of these cells. One is, you can call it as lymphoid cells and the other one is called myeloid cells. Okay, the interesting part is here both the cells are emerging from a what is called as ancestral or grandparent cell, which is nothing but your hemopoietic stem cell. You can see in this slide in the middle that is called as hemopoietic stem cell. So the process where these cells are going to mature and produce is nothing but hematopoiesis. And hematopoiesis, in the beginning of the development of fetus, if you look into that case, so it happens through the yolk sac. That means at the early gestation of 3rd month of gestation, first trimester, you can say the development of these, you can say what is called as lymphocytes and as well as these myeloid cells happening through the yolk sac. As the fetus develops further, at the month of 7th month, spleen will start producing both the lymphocytes and as well as the myelocytes. But once after delivery, when the fetus become independent, then the bone marrow starts producing these cells. So as I said, you can consider this hematopoietic stem cell as a grandparent and both the myeloid and lymphoid progenitor cells as two children of the grandparent, and then from these children further propagation is happening. Just like a family tree which we used to discuss, similarly here it is also a kind of family tree to discuss the immune system, especially the cells of the immunity. And for the convenience, we will discuss these cells in detail here. Yeah, if you see here, as I said, the hematopoiesis is happening in the bone marrow, and due to the presence of the microenvironment like growth factors and cytokines which decide these hematopoietic stem cell to convert further into either myeloid progeny as well as the lymphoid progeny. And if you look here, the current slide, you can observe that myeloid progenitor which is further divided into these 5 types here. So one is granulocytes, another one is eosinophil, the other one is basophil, and then megakaryocytes, and then your erythroid progenitor. So if you see, this erythroid progenitor is further developing into a erythrocyte, nothing but your RBC. Okay, and similarly if you see the megakaryocyte, you can say small nodules, small buds which are coming out of this megakaryocyte are converted into your platelets. Okay, and similarly the basophils further mature into, this basophil progenitor cell further matures into your basophils, and similarly the eosinophil progenitor further matures into eosinophils. Okay, and if you see here, all these what are the cells which we are discussing here, they are having some granules. Okay, and moreover these mainly, if you see, the platelets are responsible for blood coagulation, and similarly eosinophils are responsible for your allergic reactions. Responsible means here to protect against allergic reactions, and they play a key role in minimizing the what is called as the allergen which is causing you the allergy through producing specific types of chemicals and other things. And similarly coming to the neutrophil, and as we were discussing in the early discussion, these neutrophils are responsible to exhibit a phenomena called phagocytosis, where they are going to engulf these foreign particles and further destroy them. And similarly if you see this monocyte, this is further divided into macrophage. Okay, and here these macrophages are playing a key role in the immune system, and we will discuss further about the independent individual roles of these macrophages when we are going to discuss. And here interesting to know that here it is a dendritic cell, and this dendritic cell is produced both by the myeloid progenitor as well as the lymphoid progenitor according to the availability of cytokines and other growth factors. So friends, here I would like to once again emphasize that, so when we discuss about this what is called as blood system, we discuss that is WBC and generally RBC. Now let us go to the other part of this what is called as cells of the immune system, which are again coming from the same grandparent, that is your hemopoietic stem cell. But further, according to the cytokines and availability of the growth factor, they divide into this lymphoid progenitor, which is further divided mainly into two types of, you can say, lymphocytes. One is B cell progenitor, another one is T cell progenitor. So as in the previous discussion, when we were discussing about these what is called as fluid or cell are playing a key role, similarly here if you look here, these T cells, as we said, they are further divided. You can see here T helper cells and as well as the T cytotoxic cell. So the name itself indicates helping. So we will not touch upon the details of how helper cell is involving in the immunity, because looking into the FST point of view and other limitations, here we will be discussing the overall concept of immunity and immunization, how it is going to help. And as I said, this T helper cell will be helping, and similarly cytotoxics. It is going to kill the foreign particles. Okay, and similarly here coming to the B cell, and B cell is going to produce the primary, you can say, the antibodies. Okay, and once after activation, I think in the further surface. So once this B cell binds with the antigen, it is going to divide into two cells. One is called memory cell, another one is plasma cell. Okay, so where memory cell is going to be act as a reservoir, storage for memory. Once it exposed to any antigen, it will have an idea, okay, this time I am exposing to this particular kind of antigen. Next time, whenever the body exposes to that particular foreign particle and as well as the antigen, it will trigger that particular B cell to produce more number of antibodies. That means the initial recognition and everything is happened. Now they know who is the target and how to attack the target. That is the way. And similarly, if you think of these, what is called as further importance of B cells, we will be discussing when we discuss about the processes of this immunity. And moving further, here I want to give a little emphasis on the organs involved in the immune system. So far we have discussed about the cells of immune system, and now we will be discussing about the organs of immune system. So here these organs can be mainly divided into three types, like primary, secondary and tertiary organs which are involving in the immune system. And if you look at this image, in this image the organs which are showed in red color representing the primary organs, you can say. So especially the bone marrow and as well as the thymus here. So these two are considered to be as primary organs of immune system. Okay, so why they are called primary organs of immune system? Because they are going to produce the lymphocytes and as well as your myeloid cells. So that means the maturation is going to happen in the primary site. Okay, from that primary site, these cells move to the secondary lymphoid organs, and in this image you can observe the secondary lymphoid organs in blue color. Let me show you, especially the spleen here, which is in blue in color. Okay, and other you can see the spleen, lymph nodes. Here we are also showing that mucosa associated lymphoid tissue and what is called your gut associated lymphoid tissue. So you might be surprised when you are looking at this lymphatic system, you can say in other words. So this totally, you can see an alternative system which is already, we have circulatory system that is meant for the circulation of blood and your nutrients and your oxygen, everything. But here we have another system which is also helping us to circulate certain important molecules inside the body. Okay, that's why we call this one as a lymphatic system, and especially the lymph, the fluid part of the blood. That is, when you further just to go back to the secondary lymphoid organs, if I say here, so if you see here this malt and gut, if you, as I said, malt stands for mucosa associated lymphoid organs and gut stands for your gastric associated. Okay, and here why this much huge supply you can see here, throughout the body we have a lymphatic system. Why? Because there are ample of chances that we may get exposed to any kind of foreign particle from any part of the body. It may be through our food, through air, through our water, okay, through any external cuts, any damages. So there are ample of chances that these what is called as antigens, these foreign particles will enter your body. So whenever they enter your body to attack those foreign particles, those antigens, then and there itself we have such a huge, you can say, system which is taking care of the foreign particles entering into your body. And coming to finally, that is tertiary lymphoid organs or immune system is nothing but your cutaneous, nothing but cutaneous skin. your skin associated lymphoid organs. So here, if I say in other words, you can say that primary is the site of development and maturation, and secondary is the site of exposure. So where these lymphocytes are going to expose to the foreign particles, that is nothing but a battlefield, you can say, where they are going to fight with the antigen through their antibodies or through the certain specific types of cells and chemical secretions. And as well as tertiary is such a site which is having the instant lymphocytes to fight with the foreign particle that is entering into our body. So to make it a little more easy to understand, I would like to request you to just go through this image once here. So if you see here in this image, the red one is nothing but your arteries and the blues are nothing but your veins. And we all know that this system is forming your circulatory system. In the middle you can see the heart. Heart is going to pump the blood and blood is going to flow through the what is called as your circulatory system, and we call our circulatory system as a closed circulatory system. But when these, if you observe here these minute regions where our arteries are further divided into capillaries, okay, and capillaries diffuse, or you can say release the nutrients present in the blood in the form of plasma, the liquid portion that seeps into the surrounding tissues of your body. Okay, and whatever the liquid portion is, plasma especially, that is seeping into the tissue will supply the nutrients and also take out the waste materials available there, and again it absorbs back into the capillary system. But remember what happens here, there is a space in between the tissue cells that is called as interstitial spaces. So in these interstitial spaces, what happens, some of the plasma remains there, that we call it as lymph. Okay, and this leftover, you can say remaining lymph will be collected by your what is called as capillaries of the lymphatic system. And surprisingly, this lymphatic system again transports this lymph back to the circulatory system. Here you can see through the particular subclavian vein where it is going to put back all the lymph fluid which it has collected from the all the existing what is called as your interstitial spaces of the body. And the beauty is here, you can say in simple words for easy to understand, this lymphatic system is one way or other way acting as a filtering system, which is going to filter the foreign particles, it is going to filter the antigens and giving our lymphocytes a chance to read those antigens and understand, okay, this is your target, how now you need to react on this. So if you see in between, there are some nodules, some node points are there, some bulgings are there, and these are certain bulgings where our lymphocytes and the foreign particles which interact with each other, and our lymphocytes will understand now this is my target antigen, and it will make up its mind to fight against it. And after you can even follow the arrows which are given in this image that will tell you exactly how the flow of both the circulatory system and as well as the lymphatic system is happening. That's why we call our blood system as a closed circulatory system. So this is all about cells and organs of immune system. Now I request my colleague Dr. Manisha to discuss further in this topic.
Here, before moving on, actually you have very beautifully tried to explain this thing with the help of a picture. If we look at this picture, it is showing one more aspect of our life. This lymphatic as well as circulatory system combined together is one, minimizing the loss. The nutritious substances, the immunity components, anything which is present in our blood may get into the interstitial spaces and it may get destroyed. But our lymphatic system collects it back, uses it for its own purpose as well as returns it back to the circulatory system.
Yeah, so just I would like to add one more thing here. So when generally it is very rarely we observe the blood got infected.
Exactly.
If blood is infected, then the chances of survival is very less. It is fatal, the condition is fatal. But majority of the time, whenever we get meet any accident or something like, what happens, our tissue get damaged, our skin get injured. So with that, what is happening? So foreign particles are entering into our tissues. As you said,
the tertiary and the secondary
one.
So actually the primary को जिसको हम primary कह रहे हैं, वो primary है in the sense of
Just-
providing protection
yes,
actually.
resourcing.
वो जो है वो प्राइमरी इन्फेक्शन पॉइंट नहीं है. हमारा प्राइमरी इन्फेक्शन पॉइंट एक्चुअली हमारा टर्शियरी ऑर्गेनल है.
Exactly.
और जो प्राइमरी है वो हमारी इम्यूनिटी के लिए रिस्पॉन्सिबल ऑर्गेनल है, जिसको कि जो हमने शुरुआत करी वहाँ से कि हमारे हेमाटोपोइटिक सेल्स हैं.
Yeah,
और
produce
घूम
करके.
फिर के सारी बात जो आके कहाँ खत्म होती है हमारे ब्लड पे या ब्लड डिराइव्ड कंपोनेंट्स पे, क्योंकि वो ही सारे जो है हमारे सैनिक बना रहे हैं जो हमें प्रतिरक्षा प्रदान करने में एक बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण भूमिका निभाते हैं. तो थैंक यू. लेट्स मूव अहेड एज यू सेड. So I will provide you a holistic view of the immune system. We have talked in general about humoral and cellular immunity. Dr. Karim has very well merged the two concepts, where first we were diverging in two different directions. Then later on, when the tissue culture techniques developed, we came to know it is the lymphocytes which differentiate into T cells and B cells. And then B cells are responsible for producing antibodies which interact with antigen and provide immunity. That becomes one aspect. The T cells, which you have just seen, they get differentiated into two types: T helper cells and T cytotoxic cells. Helper cell has to assist all the other cells in performing the task of immunity. Cytotoxic cell will kill the antigenic or pathogenic things. So this is how these are actually the two concepts and one way of classifying our immunity. We will move on to another concept जिसको कि हम layers of immunity कह के समझ सकते हैं. Layers of immunity means एक दरवाजा है, अगर उसको पैथोजन ने क्रॉस कर लिया तो सेकेंड आएगा, एंड देन we have to see what next is there. So we classify it as types of immunity: innate immunity and acquired immunity. Innate को हम नॉन स्पेसिफिक भी कहते हैं, acquired immunity को adaptive immunity भी कहते हैं और specific immunity भी कहते हैं. Innate immunity के बारे में हम कुछ विस्तार से जानते हैं. Innate immunity is by birth. When we are born with certain things like एक बॉडी है, उसके ऊपर हमारी स्किन है, हमारे अंदर ब्लड होता है तो फैगोसाइटिक सेल्स भी होंगे. इसके अलावा कुछ और इंटरनल कंपोनेंट्स जो हैं वो हमारे प्रेजेंट होते हैं. सो इनेट इज बाय वर्च्यू ऑफ बर्थ, वी गेट इट फ्रॉम आवर पेरेंट्स, इट इज इनहेरिटेड. देन we get it through placenta as well, you can say, and from mother's milk, the colostrum. It is also rich in antibodies and it helps in providing us immunity. If we go into further details, innate immunity actually is a four-fold layer. अगर हम इसको कहें तो it is not just a physical barrier. अगर हम इसके four folds को देखें, it is anatomical और physical. जैसा कि अभी पीछे हमने बात की, हमारी स्किन, हमारी म्यूकोजल लाइनिंग, हमारी गट लाइनिंग, ये हमें एक स्ट्रॉन्ग रेजिस्टेंस प्रोवाइड करती है पैथोजन से. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, इफ आई टॉक अबाउट स्किन इन डिटेल, हम अगर अपने स्किन की इनर लेयर्स को देखें, इट कंटेन्स द स्वेट ग्लैंड्स एंड सीबेशियस ग्लैंड्स. जो हमारी सीबेशियस ग्लैंड्स होती हैं वो सीबम सिक्रेट करती हैं, एंड it would be surprising for you to believe the pH of sebum is between 3 to 5. So it's very acidic and it doesn't allow many microorganisms to grow on our skin surface.
So you can say it is a kind of vast, what is called organ.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The entire body is being protected and a huge surface area, which you can say. So
it is acting as a sense organ and as well as a protecting one.
Actually, yeah, sense organ as well as protective covering also. Then, if we come to the phagocytic blood bank, you are seeing neutrophils, how they perform. Monocytes, macrophages, they are involved in eating the foreign pathogens and all. So it becomes the another layer. If somehow due to cuts or abrasion, the pathogens are able to penetrate into our skin or body, then these second layer of, you can say, जो हमारे सैनिक हैं वो खड़े होते हैं, तो वो हमें जो है प्रोटेक्शन प्रोवाइड करते हैं। उसके बाद होता क्या है कि बहुत सारे माइक्रोब्स जो हैं वो कुछ केमिकल्स खुद भी सिक्रीट करते हैं और उसके अगेंस्ट हमारी बॉडी डिफरेंट केमिकल्स लाइक इंटरल्यूकिन, साइटोकाइंस, ये सब सिक्रीट करती है जो उनके साथ फाइट करके हमें रेजिस्टेंस प्रोवाइड करने में हेल्प करती है। और दूसरा है इन्फ्लेमेशन, कि हमारी बॉडी कई बार होता क्या है कि जब फॉरेन से कुछ इन्फेक्शन आता है कई बार हमें फीवर हो जाता है। फीवर इज एक्चुअली इट इज नॉट अ डिजीज। कई बार होता है हम कहते हैं तो बीमार है तो क्या हुआ, फीवर। Fever is not a bimari. Fever is a reaction of our body कि something is going on in your system. So get awake. Try to understand what wrong is happening. So you have to be careful if there is some change in your body temperature as well and other things. Now we will talk about acquired or specific or adaptive immunity. This is something which we don't inherit. We have to acquire. And how we can acquire it? Either by encountering a pathogen,
Exactly.
we can acquire, or by means of vaccines. So what happens when there is any threat? The cells of our immune system recognize it as a foreign particle, जिसको कि हम पैथोजन से भी जो हम फॉरेन पार्टिकल जो हमारे अंदर डिजीज कॉजिंग पोटेंशियल रखते हैं माइन्यूट लेवल पे जाए, we call it as antigen actually. So these antigens are encountered or read by the systems of our immune system, things of our immune system, and they start secreting antibodies against those antigens. So anything new, whether it is a chemical, whether it is a toxin, microorganism, be it bacteria, viruses, parasites, anything, any foreign element, if it comes close to our body, it will have something which will be read and perceived by our body as a foreign and antigenic, and our body will elicit immune response against that, and it becomes antibody, which then helps us in providing immunity later on and at that point of time as well. So it is like a throughout process. थ्रूआउट जैसे जैसे हम बड़े होते जाते हैं, नई नई चीज़ों से एनकाउंटर करते रहते हैं, सो एक्टिवली और पैसिवली वी अक्वायर द इम्यूनिटी, एंड दिस innate or acquired immunity, ultimately everything boils down to T and B lymphocytes, T and B cells. Let us look at the specific traits of this acquired immunity. कि जब हमने कहा कि हम एक्वायर कर रहे हैं एंड देन इट स्टेज देयर, किसी भी एक्वायर्ड इम्यूनिटी के 4 स्पेसिफिक एट्रीब्यूट्स हैं. वन इज स्पेसिफिसिटी, डाइवर्सिटी, मेमोरी एंड डिफरेंशिएशन बिटवीन द सेल्फ एंड नॉन सेल्फ. स्पेसिफिसिटी को हम कैसे समझें? आपने एंजाइम के बारे में पढ़ा है, जहाँ पे एंजाइम सबस्ट्रेट इंटरैक्शन है, या उससे भी बहुत सिंपल में जाते हैं ताला और चाबी. आजकल हम कहते हैं ना डिजिटल लॉक्स है, हर ताले की अपनी एक अलग चाबी होती है, हम उसको किसी दूसरे चाबी से नहीं खोल सकते. सेम हमारे यहाँ भी जो हमारी इम्यून सिस्टम्स है वहाँ पे कोई मास्टर की नहीं है. एवरी लॉक हैज गॉट इट्स ओन की, सो एवरी एंटीजन विल हैव अ डिफरेंट एंटीबॉडी. सो it is very specific. For virus A, there will be another antibody. For virus B, there will be another antibody B. For bacteria, there will be different antibody. And so, since it is specific, it is diverse. जितने तरीके के आप विभिन्न प्रकार के इन्फेक्शंस पैथोजेंस लेके आएंगे, उतने विभिन्न प्रकार के एंटीबॉडीज रेज होंगी. So, it is diverse as well. Then it shows memory. जैसा कि हमने जब सेल्स एंड ऑर्गन्स के बारे में पढ़ा कि देयर आर मेमोरी सेल्स ऑल्सो, सो इट रिकॉग्नाइजेज. तो फर्स्ट टाइम जब इन्फेक्शन हमें होता है तो कभी कभी थोड़ी देर लगती है हमारे इम्यून सिस्टम को, क्योंकि वो उसको रीड करता है, उसके अगेंस्ट में तैयार होता है. लेकिन एक बार अगर हमने सपोज करिए कि किसी एक पैथोजन को एनकाउंटर कर लिया, फॉर एग्जाम्पल वायरस ए, तो उसके अगेंस्ट जो हमारी एंटीवायरल ए बनेंगे, एंटीबॉडीज ए रेज होती हैं, वो हमारे मेमोरी सेल्स में स्टोर हो जाती हैं, और वो हमें फिर फ्यूचर में अगर वही वायरस इन्फेक्ट करता है तो वो तुरंत उसको रिकॉग्नाइज करते हैं और लार्ज नंबर में एंटीबॉडीज को जनरेट कर लेते हैं. सो सेकेंड टाइम द रिएक्शन इज वेरी फास्ट एंड देन सेल्फ एंड नॉन सेल्फ रिकॉग्निशन. हम अपने बॉडी सेल्स को कभी भी डिस्ट्रॉय नहीं करते हैं एक्सेप्ट फॉर द डेड वंस. सो दिस आर द ट्रेट्स ऑफ एक्वायर्ड एंड दिस स्पेसिफिसिटी जो हमने बात करी एक्वायर्ड इम्यूनिटी की, इट इज बिकॉज ऑफ एंटीजेनिक डिटर्मिनेंट्स जिसको कि हम एपिटोप कहते हैं. इसको अगर हम ऐसे समझें तो जैसे इसको वापस से हम एंजाइम सबस्ट्रेट इंटरेक्शन पे जाते हैं. एंजाइम्स के बारे में जनरली हम ज़्यादातर लोग ये जानते हैं कि जो एंजाइम मॉलिक्यूल होता है वो प्रोटीनेशियस है एक्सेप्ट राइबोजाइम्स. सो ये लार्ज नंबर ऑफ अमाइनो एसिड से बना है. मान लीजिए कि 100 अमाइनो एसिड्स की कोई प्रोटीन है जो एक एंजाइम के तौर पे काम कर रही है, तो उस 100 के 100 अमाइनो एसिड जो हैं वो एंजाइम की एक्टिविटी के लिए रिस्पॉन्सिबल नहीं होते हैं. उसकी कुछ एक अमाइनो एसिड्स फॉर एग्जांपल से 1, 10 एंड 21 इज इन्वॉल्व्ड इन एक्टिविटी, तो एंजाइम की एक्टिव साइट को हम एक्टिव साइट बोलते हैं वहाँ पे. वैसे ही यहाँ पे जो हमारे पैथोजन के जो एंटीजेनिक डिटर्मिनेंट्स होते हैं उसको एपिटोप बोलते हैं. तो पूरा पैथोजन जो होता है वो उसके अगेंस्ट हमारी बॉडी एंटीबॉडीज नहीं रेज करती है.
यहाँ मतलब एक पार्ट ऑफ द माइक्रोब और पार्ट ऑफ द वायरस विल एक्ट एज
एग्जैक्टली एक स्मॉल सेक्शन की. अगर ये पूरा एक वायरस है तो इसमें यहाँ पे कहीं कुछ है जो कि उसको इम्यूनोजन बनाएगा, एंटीजन बनाएगा और उसके अगेंस्ट हमारी बॉडी को जो है वो एंटीबॉडीज रेज करने हैं. तो बी सेल्स के जो कह सकते हैं कि जो एपिटोप्स, बी सेल्स जिन एपिटोप्स को रीड करती है वो सरफेस पे होते हैं. जैसे कि हमने कहा घूम के वो ऊपर आ जाएंगे, उनको वो रीड करते हैं. इस तरीके से हमारे को स्पेसिफिसिटी प्रोवाइड करते हैं. ये टी सेल्स जो होते हैं वो टी सेल्स का काम करने का तरीका थोड़ा डिफरेंट है. यहाँ पे टर्नरी बाइंडिंग होती है. 3 कंपोनेंट्स इन्वॉल्व होते हैं. एक है MHC2, दूसरा है टी सेल रिसेप्टर्स एंड एंटीजन. वहाँ पे हमारा क्या था, एंटीजन और एंटीबॉडी था. यहाँ पे टी सेल्स एंड एंटीजन अलोंग विद MHC2. MHC2 कॉम्प्लेक्स जो है इसको अगर हम कहें कि एंटीजन प्रेजेंटिंग सेल्स एक्चुअली बोलते हैं. तो जो कोई फॉरेन पैथोजन आया उसको हमारे न्यूट्रोफिल्स फैगोसाइटोज करते हैं, खाते हैं, डाइजेस्ट करते हैं, उसको छोटे छोटे टुकड़ों में करते हैं, फिर वो उसको ले जाके प्रेजेंट करते हैं. तो जब वो उसको प्रेजेंट करते हैं तो उनके ऊपर जो छोटे छोटे हिस्से होते हैं उनको हम मेजर हिस्टोकॉम्पैटिबिलिटी कॉम्प्लेक्स बोलते हैं. इसमें वी हैव गॉट 2 टाइप्स ऑफ MHCs एक्चुअली, MHC1 and 2. So T cells correspond to or they recognize only those pathogens, antigens which are bound to MHC2. So you can look at the
this
figure as well.
presenting property we can correlate with the T helper cells actually.
Exactly, yeah. So like antigen has been processed, then MHC cell will bring it to the T helper cell. T helper cell उसको लेके जाएगा दूसरे सेल्स के पास, वो साइटोकाइन रिलीज करेंगे, फिर वहाँ से a chain of events starts and then antibodies are raised against that antigen. So this is how T and B cells are working and specificity. I hope it's clear to you. Now briefly I would like to talk about antigen versus immunogen as well. हम जब पैथोजन कहते हैं तो फर्स्ट थिंग हमारे दिमाग में आ जाता है कि पैथोजन है तो कोई एंटीजन होगा तो कोई एंटीबॉडी बनेगी. लेकिन एंटीजन एंड इम्यूनोजन देयर आर टू थिंग्स. Any chemical you come across in your life, anything new you encounter, it will serve as an antigen. Your body will read it and your body will respond to it.
So in simple words, it's a foreign particle.
Any foreign particle, chemical, anything will be read as
An antigen.
It can be like protein, polysaccharide, lipid, nucleic acid. So all the biomolecules we say, including everything, toxins, chemicals, and come under this category. But it is not necessary that every antigen will become immunogen. Exactly. So immunogenicity is a property, it's a trait. It has a fighting ability as well. क्योंकि कई बार होता है बहुत सारे केमिकल्स को एनकाउंटर करते हैं बट वी डोंट फॉल सिक. बहुत सारे माइक्रोब्स एनिमल्स के टच में आते हैं बट वी डोंट फॉल सिक. सो दे मे बी हैविंग एंटीजन बट दे आर नॉट इम्यूनोजेनिक इन नेचर.
Exactly.
So this I think summarizes briefly about our immune system. And since we have talked a lot about antibody per se, actually the main principle, the main fighting soldier is antibody. So, Dr. Karim, would you like to say something?
Yeah,
about that?
definitely. I will further discuss about the structure and function and other issues related to antibody. And just before going to start discuss about this immunoglobulin, and just I want to sum up some of the discussions which we had just now.
Let's go.
So just like innate immunity is nothing but the one which is coming as heredity,
Yeah.
I can say. So and acquired is nothing but the one which you earn through your life journey.
Exactly.
Okay, so that way you can differentiate what is called as your innate and as well as the acquired immunity. And let us further discuss about this immunoglobulin here. So as we were referring in the beginning itself, this course would be addressing some of the questions and needs of our FSC students. So especially in unit number 22 of block 5, so we are having a topic called nutrition and health. Okay, so where we are going to discuss about infections and immunity and other aspects. So I hope our discussion will address those needs of the students, especially for the FST program, FST course. So if you look at the structure of this immunoglobulin, okay, so why it is called as immunoglobulin? Because it is playing a role in the immunity and as well as it is made up of the globular protein, hence it is called immunoglobulin. And the other thing is, if you look at the structure of this immunoglobulin, it is Y-shaped, you can say. It is clearly observed, and we will call this Y-shaped immunoglobulin nothing but antibody as a heterodimer. So hetero means different, dimer means of two. So it is made up of two different polypeptide chains. So those two polypeptide chains here you can see in the picture, these two, the middle one which are little bit longer when compared to other ones, so these belongs to the what is called a heavy chain. On either sides of this antibody, you can see the lighter ones which are in light red and pink color. So they are nothing but your light chains. Okay, so like this, it is made up of two different polypeptide chains. One is the middle ones are nothing but your heavy chains, and these ones are the light chains. So that's why it is called as heterodimer. Okay, and totally there are, you can say, two lights and two heavy chains. And moving further, if you look at the structure here, this antibody structure, in between you are seeing number of disulfide bonds here, sulfur-sulfur bonds. So as we all know, if you recollect our fundamentals of proteins, proteins are made up of amino acids, and these amino acids are containing sulfur-containing amino acids like cysteine and methionine. And whenever there is a cysteine residue, it will pair with its adjacent cysteine residue with the help of the sulfur bridges. And these sulfur bridges, these sulfur bonds are covalent bonds present inside the immunoglobulin structure. But apart from these covalent bonds, there are some other bonds like hydrogen bonds, ionic interactions, and other van der Waals interactions are also existing. But since these covalent bonds give some sort of stability and strength to these chains to stay together and function further, that is important to know here. And in the middle you can see there is a black portion which we are referring it as a hinge region. So this hinge region is nothing but a collar region. You can imagine like a collar. For example, this is the base, you can say the supporting system, and this is the neck, and this is the hinge region which is acting as your heads of the antibody to move according and flexible, to make it flexible to bind with the antigen. And as just now we were discussing about epitope when we were discussing about the antigenicity, so we are discussing about epitope. So epitope is nothing but the determination site of an antigen to become as what is called to stimulate the antibodies to produce. And where exactly, see, if you see the structure of this antibody, if you will be surprising to know the length of this antibody is almost like this 446 amino acids, and here if you see the top regions which are marked in circles and as well as written as VHVL, VHVL, this VHVL stands for variable regions. So variable means they are changing from one antibody to another antibody. As in the discussion previously we were saying about the A antigen, B antibody, C antibody, we were saying about that. So similarly, so where this diversity in antibody is coming exactly? So the diversity of antibody is coming in these regions, that is called as a variable regions. And it would be interesting to know that this variable region varies from one antibody to another antibody. That means for example, there is A antigen which is binding with A antibody, that is having a different variable region. Similarly, B antibody for B antigen, different variable region. But the remaining bottom, that is the biological activity which is expressed by the constant regions. You can see the CH here and Cl here. So these C stands for the constant. So they are consistent. whereas the upper ones, they are variable. They are varying from one antibody to another body antibody. And one more thing just I would like to touch here, that is these variable regions are ranging from approximately 110 amino acids. So if you start, especially if you see the polypeptide chain also, it is having one C terminus, one amino terminus, that is carboxyl terminus and amino terminus. This is called as N terminus also, and this N terminus region is the variable region, whereas this carboxyl terminus is the constant region, stable region. And here this variable region is composing of almost 110 amino acids. And I would like to just quickly touch upon the types of antibodies actually. So as you can see here on the top of this slide, we are returning some what is called as mu, gamma, alpha, delta and epsilon symbols are there. So these symbols stands for the types of what is called as heavy chains. So depending on the type of heavy chain, there are 5 types of antibodies like IgG, IgM, IgA, IgD and IgE. So you can see on the left side of the slide, you can see the types of antibodies also. So why? Because if the particular antibody is made up of, for example, like what is called as epsilon heavy chain, then it will be called as IgE. If it is made up of what is called as your gamma, then it is called as IgG. Just for a time being, we will see here this IgM and IgD will act as primary antibodies. That means the antibodies which the body is going to secrete against any infection. So that is even in the viral infections. Okay, and these, as we can see, observe the B cells, they are having the primary antibody, that is on the surface of the antibody. You can see the presence of the antibody on the B cell. Okay, so that's why just to correlate this IgM and IgD with our today's diagnosis, which we are doing for the sake of our coronavirus. So where we are using the rapid kits, and these rapid kits are mainly designed to detect the presence or absence of this IgM and IgD, with the help of which at least we are able to say some infection is there or not, like that. And moving further, if you see, there is another type that is called as IgA, which is made up of heavy alpha chain, and this IgA is also known as secretory antibody, so which is present in our body secretions like our mucosa, our tears, even our milk, as we were discussing in the earlier discussion when we were discussing about the innate immunity, so in other acquired immunity areas. So IgA is a secretory antibody which is present in our body secretions, and this is also called as first antibody, which is developed against defense to fight against any antigen. Okay, and coming to the IgG is responsible for the opsonization phenomena, and as well as IgE is responsible for the what is called as allergic reactions and fight against over parasites. So, and similarly, just to discuss about the types of light chains, there are 2 types of light chains. One is kappa and another one is lambda type of light chains. So however, with respect to our current discussion of our immunity, infection, as well as with respect to our FST courses and as well as CH09 program, so this information will help the learners to know about what is antibody and how exactly it is reacting and how it is functioning. And just before handing over to Dr. Manisha, I would like to request students to just observe these 2 parts. One is called as here antigen binding region, which we call as Fab region. Other one is the FC region, that is fragment crystallizable and fragment antigen binding regions.
इस डायग्राम को देख के हम ये भी कोरिलेट कर सकते हैं कि the basic scheme remains same. The basic structure is made up of 446 amino acids. You just do some changes in the variable region, which is 110 amino acid, which we are saying that antigen binding
variable region.
और वहाँ पे ही different epitopes, so pathogen वहाँ से आ रहे हैं और इसका ये, और they two are interacting and we are getting so diverse antibodies. एक query आ रही है मेरे दिमाग में डॉक्टर करीम. Here looking at the structure, we are seeing that it is rich in sulfur containing amino acids. Exactly. And is the disulfide linkages which are linking the 2 arms of this heterodimer or 2 chains. So can we boost our immunity by taking sulfur rich compounds in our diet?
Yeah, especially see, so not only sulfur rich, I can say even there are a group of what is called as foodstuffs, which we call it as immuno boosters. I think we will be discussing.
For us to go ahead?
Yeah, I think we can discuss 5 minutes more.
So maybe very fast we will talk about. Now we will link the infection and immunity. We have talked about innate and acquired. So what happens if there is a pathogen? what पैथोजन हैज टू डू, उसको हमारे इनेट और एडेप्टिव दोनों इम्यूनिटी को क्रॉस करना है, दोनों लाइन को क्रॉस करना है, तभी इन्फेक्शन स्टैब्लिश होगा। जैसा कि एपिथेलियल गट लाइनिंग और इन सब चीज़ों की भी बात की, तो हमारी बॉडी उसको कैसे काउंटर एक्ट करती है। स्किन के कॉन्टेक्स्ट में हमने कहा कि pH इज 3 to 5, सीबम इज़ वेरी हाईली एसिडिक, सो माइक्रोब्स आर अनेबल टू ग्रो। अगर हम अपने गैस्ट्रो इंटेस्टाइनल ट्रैक्ट को देखें, हमारे pH जो है स्टमक का वो भी बहुत लो होता है, सो इट डजंट अलाउज मेनी पैथोजेंस और माइक्रोब्स टू सर्वाइव देयर। देन some cells in our gut are able to produce antibacterial peptides which kills them if there is some entry into our body. Then our body flora, gut flora is also competitively inhibiting these pathogens. Competitively means somehow they are resembling those pathogens, and if there is a foreign particle, our gut flora then competes with that to bind to the receptor cycle for internalizing that. So there also they are providing us to attain immunity or to resist the infection. So this is how our body is working. If we go further deeper, like he talked about opsonization, one of the antibodies is involved. So there are certain bacteria which secrete some peptidoglycans, and these peptidoglycans are actually, they activate our alternate complement pathway. And opsonization is nothing like, हम अगर इसको घर के बोलचाल के भाषा में कहें तो जब हम खाना खाते हैं, टेस्टी नहीं लगता है, चाट मसाला डाला खाने में बहुत मज़ा आता है। So there are some these antibodies, and then some chemicals like C3b, which is secreted by our complement pathway. They opsonize bacteria, they make them tasty, and then they present it to the phagocytosis cells, and then it is further destroyed. Similarly, number of molecules which bacteria secrete, which our body secretes against that, like TNF-alpha, IL-1, IL-6, which you can read later on the slides. So continuously, the cellular components as well as the fluidic components of our body are devising means to counteract and to restrict the entry of pathogens in our body. So we will now what becomes important is, we talked about हम कैसे कोशिश कर रहे हैं बचने की, पर पैथोजन भी कोशिश करेगा कि वो हमें अटैक कैसे करे। तो इसको हम ऐसे कह सकते हैं कि पैथोजन क्या करता है, अगर हमने उसको रीड कर लिया, हम एंटीबॉडी रेज करेंगे, हम बच सकते हैं। तो वो अपने जो एंटीजेनाइसिटी है, उसकी जो एंटीजन जनरेट करने की कैपेसिटी है, उसको कम करते हैं। कैसे? वो हमारे बॉडी में ही ग्रो करने का कोई तरीका ढूंढ लेते हैं। जैसे बहुत सारा होता है कि हमारे अंदर जब वायरस मल्टीप्लाई करता है तो फिर हम उसके अगेंस्ट जो रिकॉग्निशन है वो हम खत्म हो जाता है, दे आर एबल टू मल्टीप्लाई एंड देन कॉज इन्फेक्शन। फिर वो अपने मेम्ब्रेन के एंटीजेंस को शेड ऑफ कर देते हैं, एंटीजन नहीं है तो हम रिकॉग्नाइज नहीं कर पाएंगे, या वो हमारी जो बॉडी के सरफेस प्रोटीन्स है उससे सिमिलर अमाइनो एसिड्स या उस तरीके के जो प्रोटीन्स है उनको मिमिक करना शुरू कर देते हैं। तो इफ the bacterial proteins, bacterial antigenic epitopes are resembling our proteins, our amino acid sequences, sometimes body can confuse it with self and non-self, and it will not show reaction to that. And then some acquire the host membrane molecule, the biggest thing which we are talking or now facing today, similar to the coronavirus. कोरोना वायरस में भी जो उसकी आउटर कवरिंग है, इट इज डिराइव्ड और इट इज मेड लाइक इट इज ऑब्टेन्ड फ्रॉम द होस्ट सेल मेम्ब्रेन, सो इट इज अ इवेडिंग ट्रिक टू cause infection and then undergo
Shall we touch upon that one? The brief, just we will touch upon the corona things.
Yeah, so we will move ahead and talk about that also. Let's get back. Yeah.
So as we were discussing about these immune boosters also in our previous discussion, so as I said in our FST course unit 21 also we are having a topic called protective food. So here the foods like proteins, vitamins and minerals, they are considered to be giving protection to the body by form of producing antibodies and antioxidant enzymes which will take care of the free radicals and other things. And similarly vitamins, generally we take food for the sake of producing energy, but here these foods are not, especially the vitamins and minerals are not for the sake of producing the energy, they are for the sake of producing some sort of protection and better utilization of the food which we are consuming. Okay, so moving further with the current discussion, even the government of India these days through the Ayush platform, they are encouraging people to take the what is called as herbal foods. So where the lots of spices you can see here on the left side of the image and on the right side of the image also. So why? Because these spices contain some specific phytochemicals like terpenes, steroids, flavonoids, and they will enhance our immune system, which will indirectly boost us to fight against the infections. That is called as our immune boosters. And just with time being, I would like to just touch upon a brief about the coronavirus here. So as we were discussing about the immunities and infections, just let us touch upon the current scenario, what is happening in the global pandemic, that is especially this coronavirus infection. So this coronavirus is nothing but a nucleoprotein. You can see here it is having a nucleus where you can see the RNA, and there are some proteins also. And here in this protein you can see this E protein, that is what is called as an envelope protein, and then there is membrane protein, and there is a spike protein, and then there are a RNA present inside this corona, that is called as what is called as your nucleoprotein, combined we call it as. And moving further, so without discussing the in details of how it is going to replicate, generally we know that these viruses are what is called as they are entities. So they themselves cannot replicate. They need a host system for the survival. So as we are all hearing that these coronavirus is going to attach our what is called as lungs, and they are going to multiply through the entering into the ACE2 receptors, and finally it is going to propagate and produce new virions, that is called as new virus particles. Just we'll touch upon about the changing scenario here. So as we can see in this image, the what is called as we are evolving from ages. Humans are evolving and we are getting some modifications in our genes and genomes, and similarly along with us the environment is also changing, and the microbes are also evolving to fight against us and otherwise to infect us for the survival actually. Okay, so in this process only we came across SARS, MERS. In 2002 we came across SARS, and then later in 2008 and 12 we came across MERS, and now in 2019 we are coming across COVID-19. So this picture says somehow we are going to change. The changes are happening. So because of these changes, so we are coming across new virus, and as well as human beings are also learning how to fight against these infections in a better way. And without taking much time, just I would like to emphasize my learners to go through these slides when they are uploaded on the eGyanKush platform, and here we are providing all the references which you can read after going through these slides. And just here I would like to just give one point here. Thus, as we said, the lock and key model when we are discussing, now the scientists are trying to find the key for this particular protein, how this protein is binding, how we can inhibit the binding of this protein with our cells. That way you can see this is SARS protein, this is MERS protein, and this is the novel coronavirus protein. So if we are able to inhibit this particular region, then we are able to reduce the infection. And further, just I would like to give one particular line here before going from this session. So the structure is the ability to function here. So any protein is functioning because of its structure. So if there is no structure, it cannot perform its function. If you compare these images here, so this the bottom one belongs to the MERS protein, and the other one is SARS novel, previous SARS, this is the novel SARS. So in this red box, you can see there is slight variation in the structure, because of which this is considered to be as a novel coronavirus. And taking clues from here, I would like to say, if you see the previous image, just there is a human genome and as well as the pangolin and as well as the bat one. So the analysis gives us the genomic and as well as evolutionary evidences, and what these evidences are saying here, that is important to note here, that is this S1 protein which is having closeness of our novel coronavirus with pangolin rather than the SARS. But we are thinking that SARS is emerged and converted into novel, but SARS is there definitely. But the virus which is present in pangolin is more close, the protein is more closer to the novel corona, that is especially the spike protein. And going to the 5 key amino acids which are varying from the MERS, SARS and novel coronavirus, especially the 5 amino acids which are binding to human ACE2 cells are similar in both pangolin and as well as the SARS-CoV-2. And going back here, the beauty is here, this SARS, the novel coronavirus, has developed a new, what you can say, a modified protein, or you can say the amino acid region, pituitary furin recognition region, which is not at all there in both the SARS and as well as the MERS. It is a new region. So what I want to convey here, just give a message that these viruses are evolving and they are developing their potential to fight and to infect us. And
every day they are coming up with new evading tricks.
Exactly.
And we are also evolving with that.
Exactly. So even for before leaving this session, I would like to request my audience to just watch the what is called as authenticated websites of our Government of India to know the data and information about the infection and about how to fight against infection. And I also request the learners and audience to just to download this Arogya Setu app, where it is having multiple what is called as windows. Here just I have prepared a collage with the multiple screens of the Arogya Setu app, which will show you whether you are safe or infected or not. And apart from that, it will give you the time to time updates about the infection. On the other side, you can see the status of the India about fighting the novel coronavirus. So with this, before going to leave this session or close this session, I request Dr. Manisha just to conclude this one.
बस यही कहना है कि अगर हम ये WHO के डेटा को देखें, आज भी लीडिंग किलर जो है वो कम्युनिकेबल डिजीजेस ही हैं, और अभी जो करंट हम कोरोना क्राइसिस से जूझ रहे हैं वो भी इन्फेक्शियस है, एक दूसरे से हम ट्रांसमिट कर पा रहे हैं। और चूंकि हम ये जान रहे हैं कि अभी हमारे पास इसका कोई इलाज नहीं है, वैक्सीन्स डेवलप करने के प्रोसेस में है, तो जो हमें पता है कि हम क्या कर सकते हैं, इम्यूनिटी या इम्यूनाइजेशन जब तक डेवलप होगा तब तक हमारे पास सिर्फ एक ही इलाज है, और वो है प्रिवेंशन, यानी बचाव। हम अपनी सुरक्षा घर में रह के कर सकते हैं, मास्क पहन के कर सकते हैं, अच्छी हेल्थ हाइजीन जो हमारे हैंड हाइजीन है, हेल्थ है, अच्छा खाएं, स्वस्थ खाएं, ज़्यादा नहीं खाएं, अच्छा खाएं। दाल चावल रोटी सब्जी भी हमें ज़्यादा अच्छी इम्यूनिटी और सेहत प्रोवाइड कर सकती है, बजाय कि हम इसके बहुत पिज़्ज़ा पास्ता भरी हुई थालियाँ खा रहे हैं।
And time to time they need to follow the instructions given by the Government of India on their official websites. Okay, and they can
exactly don't go to some hacky tacky sites and start doing anything like there were news कि हम डिसइंफेक्टेंट इंजेक्ट कर सकते हैं, हम सनलाइट से कुछ कर सकते हैं। Please don't do that. Listen to government suggestions, follow that, and stay indoors. Maintain good health.
Stay safe and stay healthy. Thank you.
Thank you all.